everyone, and welcome to Meowmix, a Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And the time has come. Training camp, 1 week away. I believe from today, right?
Yeah,
Does it
I
start
mean,
on the 26th, I think?
yeah. Are we posting this tomorrow, or are we posting this next week?
Well, 1 week from when we're recording this.
I will be in
Training
California
camp.
at the kickoff of training camp, so we're recording this early.
Training camp begins. Yeah. I will be here supporting my team from North Carolina as a true fan would. Jerry B gallivanting out in Disneyland or wherever he's going. So we're going to be talking training camp today. We're going to be previewing training camp, talking about some battles, some things that we expect, some things we hope to see, some surprises. We'll make some predictions, things like that. But first, let's just want to kind of reiterate what we talked about last time at the beginning of the show. If you guys could, please support the show by going to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leaving us a 5-star review, subscribing on YouTube, giving us likes on the videos, things like that. It really helps us out. We did get an Apple review, Apple Podcast review, 5 stars. Thank you very much. I actually got a few 5-star ratings, 1 review. So I'm going to let Jerry take it from here.
And this is from I Drink Panther Milk. And first of all, I don't want to see how you get the Panther milk. I'm assuming you get scratches. Go Panthers.
Sounds delicious.
Just discovered this podcast and I am hooked. I enjoy the banter between the host and the fact that they can have a disagreement without putting each other down. Also a podcast I can listen to in the car with my kids. I can't wait for the season. Keep pounding. Thank you. And that is both things we try to do. You know, we can disagree, as we do quite often, and not try to put each other down.
Yes, often Jerry is wrong, and we have to talk about that, but that's okay.
I was wrong about our tight end situation. Yeah. I thought Ian Thomas and Tommy Trimble had more. And who knows? They weren't.
No, we know.
So supposedly, Tommy Trimble said that the previous regime didn't help, teach them how to catch the ball or, work with
that.
them.
I do not doubt.
That
I do not doubt. Anything negative said about the previous regime, I'm just going to believe it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I don't think that takes Ian Thomas off the hook, but I'm willing to give Tommy Trimble a little bit of runway to prove us. Well, not even prove us wrong. I don't think either of us are totally out on Tommy Trimble.
No.
But I think we're close.
Yeah, we I kind of, speaking of training camp, that is someone I do think needs a good training camp to kind of up his game.
For sure.
And by the way, I heard the previous regime liked to put squirrels in people's pants to keep them light-footed.
Well, that's a strategy.
Yeah.
I think it works better in college than it does in the NFL.
It must.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again. I Drink Panther Milk for your 5-star review. And as I said, anyone else leaving one, we'll read it on the show. So let's get to the fun stuff here. Training camp. We're going to start with, I think, some training camp battles because
that's the fun part, right?
And it seems like there's a few. There's quite a few in some important positions. And we'll kind of start off with maybe the position that could have the most flex, I think, in terms of who starts, second string, things like that. Wide receiver.
Yeah, I would feel that there's 5 guys that if any of the 5 started, I would not be completely shocked. Now, I do think Adam Thielen and DJ Shark have the inside track. Now, but if Jonathan Mingo, Terrace Marshall, or Laviska Shenault lights it up in preseason, I wouldn't be shocked if it was a DJ Shark, Terrace Marshall, or Jonathan Mingo and Adam Thielen, or even if it's a DJ Shark and Laviska Shenault, but an Adam Thielen in the slot. Just whatever, because I think Adam Thielen can eat up in the slot.
Yeah. It's really up in the air because, I mean, you've also got Shi Smith in there. You've got Demir Bird came back. I mean, you've got these guys that have the talent, have speed, which honestly something Thielen, Terrace Marshall, Mingo, like they're not burners,
No,
right? You're going to need some speed. Shark is very fast, but very injury prone. So I would expect one of those other guys probably to make the roster, if for nothing else than just to have that option.
I think they're going to have to keep 6. And you're
Yeah.
right. I could see Shi Smith and Demir Bird fighting for that same spot. Now,
Yeah.
Terrace Marshall and I think Mingo also, and Chenault even have speed, but they don't have that burner speed. There's a
Right.
different gear to get there.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking Shi Smith and Demir Bird, I mean that, and DJ Shark, those guys are on a different level.
Yeah.
When it comes to just flat out speed. But yeah, I mean, obviously like Thielen, Chark, Marshall, Mingo, those guys are all a lock to make the roster. It's really those last one or two positions, and I agree with you. I think they're going to keep 6. Laviska, I think, is probably pretty safe.
I would say so. I would not be shocked if he's produced in this league better than Terrace Marshall. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
So who's to say that he can't be that guy? And he's also kind of that Swiss Army knife that Frank Reich might want to use in the backfield some. May want to use in that different type of situations,
You're saying like maybe a screen pass here and there for Laviska.
Yeah, here and there, not like 5 times.
Not here and 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 not, there and there and there and there.
Not all his play calls, he could go out past the line of scrimmage.
I would be very happy to see that, and he's got it in him. I mean, we saw in his time in Jacksonville that he can do other things than catch the ball behind or at the line of scrimmage. I mean, honestly, that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to is seeing what they do with him, because he has been mentioned as sort of a Deebo Samuel type player, not as good as Deebo Samuel, obviously, but he can do those types of things. And if he can do those types of things at 80%, 85% of what Deebo Samuel is, that's really, really important and valuable to a team. So I'm hoping that we see some of that. You've got CJ Saunders out there, probably just a special teams guy. Derek Wright is back. He was with us last preseason. And really those are really the only ones to really mention. There are some other camp bodies in there, but I think with this battle, it's really like, who are the starters going to be? Is it just going to be Thielen and Chark, and maybe who's the third?
Yeah, who's the third? I mean, because if you're one of the other guys and you fall down the depth chart to 5th, how much playing time are you really going to get as a Jonathan Mingo, Laviska Shenault, Terrace Marshall, if you fall that far?
I mean, Chark's going to get hurt, most likely.
I mean he's injury prone.
It happens to him. Thielen is kind of getting up there in age. I think it really, it's all going to depend on health, obviously, but Thielen probably, would you say he's the best receiver on the roster? I mean, I think he...
I'm going to say yes, but there's also caveats to that, in my opinion.
I mean, it's a tough question to answer.
Because I think the slot would be really good for him. That... Not the deep slot or anything like that. Just like those quick little passes. He runs great route. He still has a quick burst, but he can't stretch the field, in my opinion. I'm not saying he wouldn't be able to win occasionally, but he's not the guy that you're expecting for big, big plays. But
you're not sending him down the sidelines 5 times a game. Yeah. You're just not doing that with him.
You could play a Julian Edelman-esque type of role.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, I was thinking Ricky Prohl. That's probably too old for most of our listeners, but just that guy, that just really reliable receiver, right? So I mean, I'm excited to watch these guys and see. Really looking to see what Terrace Marshall does. I'm hoping that this is the year for him. I mean, we know he's got the talent. It's just, can he stay healthy and can he put it all together? I mean, that's going to be a theme with a lot of these guys, I think. And then Mingo. I mean, Mingo is kind of the question mark here. He's second-round pick. A lot of people like him. A lot of people like that pick. Bryce Young liked that pick a lot.
Yeah.
Steve Smith liked that pick a lot. So now Steve Smith is not always right, but I think he was right about DJ Moore.
Yeah.
And he could be right about Jonathan Mingo too. So I'm really excited to see that. Any other thoughts on the wide receiver group before we move on?
I'll get around to it later in some of our questions that we have prepped. So
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's move on to edge rusher. Now, this is probably behind wide receiver, or maybe even the same
ahead.
level as wide
Yeah.
receiver or ahead. Who's going to be that guy opposite Brian Burns?
Yeah.
Is it going to be Yetur Gross-Matos? I think he's probably the leader in the clubhouse, but you've got Marquise Haynes. You've got DJ Johnson, the guy that we drafted, Amari Barno. I have no idea where this is going to end up. I think any one of those guys could be it.
I 100% agree.
And I think it could potentially be a guy not even on the roster right now.
Yeah, Deshaun Williams
that might be
is another one. I didn't put him on the name, but another guy. I was looking at our I feel more comfortable with the wide receiver group than I do with the edge rushers. I'll put it this way: I feel like we have like 3 or 4 like number 2s and number 3s. But we don't have that solidified number 1 starter that you're just like, yeah, he's got it.
You know about wide receiver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But edge rusher.
A lot of B pluses, no A's.
Yes.
At wide receiver. Yeah.
Well, edge rusher, I feel like we have an A+ in Brian Birds, and then we've got a bunch of like C or incompletes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Marquise Haynes, I feel like has the talent, but he's just never really had the opportunity. And he's been hurt, and COVID and all that stuff, kind of stunted his growth. But Yetur, in terms of a pass rusher, I'm kind of out on him.
Yeah.
I don't think that's unfair. Johnson is new. I don't really know what to expect from him. Barno, we've seen flashes, but a little undersized maybe.
I think with DJ Johnson, he has a lot of the raw abilities that you want. It's kind of like Amari Barno. Guy is the fastest human being, but can he put it all together? Meanwhile, Yetur was one of those guys too who had the physical traits, but he hasn't put it together. So which one of these guys is really going to stand out and actually do it for once? And you're right. It may be someone not here yet.
If I had to bet, I would say the starting edge rusher opposite Brian Burns is not yet on the roster. Because I don't have any faith in any of these guys. Now Frankie Louvu we've talked about as maybe being that guy, but I haven't heard that from the team at all, really.
Well, Frankie Louvu's got a starting position. Everybody I've seen has put him on the inside. I was curious about why you would not put him on the outside of a 3-4, but his coverage is lacking. But at the same time, I think him and Burns could be a very good 1-2. But then you're missing at the middle linebacker position.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is it feels like you could move these pieces around, but there's going to be a weak spot somewhere, right? Just where do you want it to be? And I guess you've got your A+ on one side. If you have a C on the other side, maybe it evens out to be a B. I mean, I don't know. But it's I hope that we see Louvu at least like try it out there in training camp. I'd like to see him do some pass rushing. I mean, but he had 7 sacks last year.
Yeah, he had 7 sacks. I'm pulling up his PFF grade, but he was just lightning in a bottle like he has been here. You give him, he has a 72.2 pass rush grade.
That's good.
Yes.
That's very good. And in limited, opportunities, I would assume. He certainly wasn't rushing it as much as Brian Burns.
He has 146 pass rush snaps, so 7 sacks on that. I'm trying to see if I can get the hurries on him
So yeah, that's
because
less than 10 a game for him. So
yeah.
that's not, you know, that's good production for that.
All right, here's pressures, hurries. He had only 13 hurries plus the
Mm-hmm.
7 sacks on those, but I mean, it just felt like he kept making plays, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I guess that's the way he was the year before too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's that's a major question mark. So that's definitely a camp battle that we're going to be watching very closely. Um, but again, I would be surprised if they did not bring in someone else at some point, before the season starts,
Yeah, me too.
because there are some guys still out there.
And maybe that's what they're waiting on. I mean, maybe they're just like, you know what, we like this guy. We've been keeping in touch with him. I mean, that's what happens. They keep in touch with
Yeah,
the agents
sure.
and stuff like that, and then they decide what to do with, to
Yeah.
go with.
And there will be cuts from other teams. We're gonna have they will bring in someone else at some point. But all right, any other thoughts on the edge rushers?
I do want to say Amari Barno.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious with his speed, with his intelligence that I saw on his few plays he played with. I'm kind of curious if if this coaching staff can kind of coach him up slash give him a good pass rushing type of role with
Mm.
that speed, with the way he played smart, like pass rushing, read the defense, got to the screen as a rookie last year. I was kind of sad we didn't see more of him towards the end of the season.
Yeah, well, they were in the playoff battle, so
Yeah.
they were playing their guys. But yeah, that's a good point with Evero being as intelligent and innovative as he is, and showed that he was last year. It's gonna be interesting to see who he ends up trusting, right?
Yeah.
Who does he believe in? And I think we're gonna see that fairly quickly. So yeah, I'm excited about that. But all right, let's move on. What do we got next?
We have quarterback. And I am not talking about J.C. Horn or Dante Jackson. We all know that they're going to start and they're most
Yeah,
likely going to get injured.
as long as
So
they're
we.
healthy, they'll be there week one.
um, but with that being said, what's behind them? CJ Henderson has been on this roller coaster of ability. Like, he has a great ability, but sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. Then Keith Taylor had a really solid rookie season. And then last year,
Fell apart.
it
Yeah.
looked like I could beat him at wide receiver. Now I can't. That was a joke. Don't need those dirty emails because I know he's a professional. Then Stanley Thomas Oliver. I mean, he's such a great special teams guy, but is that all he is? Is he gonna be able to compete? And here's my guy, Rajon Wright, rookie undrafted guy. He has a lot of talent, and I would like to see him step up in this. I always have to pick an undrafted guy every year that I root for, and this is my guy this year.
uh,
Yes.
I think it might be. I would not. Would you be surprised if Dante Jackson is not one of the starters and he's healthy?
If CJ Henderson lights it up in training camp and preseason, I could maybe see Evero going that way. Because I
Ooh,
could.
CJ wasn't the guy I
Oh,
was thinking, uh, but sure, I wasn't really thinking anyone specific. I was just thinking if Evero can come in, and I mean, he had some really good cornerback play in Denver. Now, Pat Surtain is a very, very good corner, but you would have to imagine that these guys are going to be better under Evero,
I hope
right?
so.
And I'm just wondering, because even before he got hurt, Dante Jackson was not playing well last year.
No.
at all. You know, JC Horn going to be just fine as long as he stays healthy, but it would not surprise me at all if one of these guys that we just mentioned is the starter over Dante Jackson in week 1.
No.
It would not surprise me. So I would say when we're looking at this battle, I would put Dante Jackson in there with CJ and Keith Taylor, maybe, as those 3 kind of battling it out for that starting position.
And honestly, Dante Jackson can be released this year, after this year, and it not causing a big cap hit. So he needs to play out to really cement his place in this team and roster.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Dante Jackson have great, like the year before he signed the contract was a great season for him. And I think he even got hurt that season too. But
he gets hurt.
He's got that ability. He just, something was missing last year. And we could say that about the whole team before, who's the interim coach? Steve Wilkes. Before Steve Wilkes took over, right? Like the whole team was just sort of not playing up to its potential.
Well, supposedly the coaching staff didn't coach him up at all.
Right. Well, I think we saw that. So who's your, JC Horn, obviously, but are you going to bet on Dante being that guy, or do you think there will be a surprise there?
Now that you brought it up, I have no clue. You know what? If I had to bet, maybe CJ Henderson, just because he does have that young athletic ability, and Evero might really like that. And last year we played so much zone that I don't know if Evero will. Well, I guess Evero plays a lot of zone too. So,
how cool would it be if Evero unlocked CJ Henderson? Like he figured him out.
That would be awesome.
That'd be so good. Like it'd be great. I would feel pretty. I feel good about it until Evero. If he did that, he's probably going to be a head coach next year. So we may only get 1 year of him, but I guess that could be the case anyway. So yeah, cornerback, obviously another position of question with the Panthers. So it wouldn't surprise me, by the way, if they bring in another corner at some point over the training camp.
I thought we were going to draft one, to be honest with you, but
we should have, I think. But all right, moving on. What's next?
I put this one on here. Not a lot of people consider this a training camp battle, but I do, especially after watching Blueprint, as they wanted to draft Michael Bishop. What is his name? I can't say it. I don't know. He's an offensive guard that was drafted before. But in the second round, it was between Mingo and this offensive guard. And they ended up going with Mingo because the guard got picked shortly before us. I don't think Brady Christensen has this job solidified. And not only that, then they come back and go for Chandler Zavala out of NC State, who
they were very excited about.
Who they were especially James Kempton, very excited about. Play next to Icky. Icky could stand up for him. And then they also have Cade Mays. So I think this could become a battle. Especially if Christensen is hurt. Sorry.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. Christensen coming off an injury. And I don't know. We should have looked this up, but I don't know what his status is coming into training camp. He or Austin Corbett. Really.
I
think one of them was going to be ready, but I don't remember which one it was.
I think it was Brady Christensen.
Okay. While you look it up, I agree with you. I think of the offensive line, I feel like Christensen was the weakest point.
Yeah, I don't think that was a question, realistically.
Yeah. So, would it surprise me if Zavala or Cade Mays or Michael Jordan or one of these other guys steps up and is able to kind of beat him out for that job? I guess it would surprise me if it was Michael Jordan, but if it was one of the other guys,
I was about to call that out. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that would surprise me. But if it was somebody else, it wouldn't surprise me as much. But yeah, I think Brady will probably end up winning the job. I think, again, second year under Campen, and that offensive line as a unit played very well last year. So I think they'd be hesitant to break it up unless someone just blew them out of the water. But we'll see. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, I think Christensen is back on the field.
Okay.
That's the headlines I'm reading, and he said that his doctor cleared him and stuff like
Okay,
that. So
cool.
he'll be back. I think Austin Corbett will be back sometime in training camp, maybe right before week 1. So that he may not start week 1.
Yeah, that one surprised. I knew one of them was in. It was a question for week 1. So okay. Well, good opportunity for all these guys then, because if you're not starting at left guard, you could easily be starting at right guard.
Yeah.
Week 1, week 2, something like that. So, all right, good one. And it's real hard to grade. Like when we're watching training camp, it's really hard to discern if the offensive linemen are doing really well or not. Like
you just have to trust in James
impossible.
Campen, and luckily he understood. He did a great job last year, so I have faith in him reading these guys and understanding what they need to do.
Yeah, we'll basically just be regurgitating whatever he says in his press conferences because it's really hard to see. I mean, you can obviously tell when some guys are being amazing, but I'm looking forward to Icky. Like, I'm hoping year 2 of Icky is a big step up because he had a very good rookie year, but obviously there were some things that he could work on. So I'm hoping that this is going to be just like he's going to become that elite guy that we expect.
I'm hoping by the end of this year, we're looking at Icky as a top 5 left tackle in the league.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite possible.
And I've been reading a lot of off seasons, and a lot of people, when they talk about us, they talk about how he really looks like he can take the next step, and that it looks like we picked the right left tackles so far. I mean, it's still early, but
yeah, it is. But early results were very good, so we'll keep an eye on that. All right, let's touch on these next couple just kind of quickly. Backup tight end. So we know Hayden Hurst is going to be the starting tight end. Tommy Tremble, Ian Thomas, Giovanni Ricci, honestly, we could put in here as well.
Stephen Sullivan.
Yep. I think that's a real battle as who is going to be backing up, or when you play 2 tight end sets, who's going to be that other guy. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm hoping that it's not Ian Thomas. I'm honestly even hoping it's not Tommy Tremble. I'm hoping Stephen Sullivan or Ricci steps up and gets an opportunity. Ricci has been great every time he stepped on the field. I thought he should have been getting way more opportunities at tight end than he got the last year.
I agree, but I'm gonna burst your bubble. I think it's Ian Thomas. His blocking's better, and he's gonna get that for that second tight end position because he had such good blocking, and I feel like they're gonna run a lot of 2 tight end sets to run the ball well.
I don't know that his blocking is as good as everyone thinks it is, but yeah. You're probably right. He's the veteran. He's been around. He'll probably get the if nothing else, he'll get this, a step up at the beginning of camp, and it'll be his job to lose essentially.
But you never know. Maybe this coaching staff will use Trimble as more of a Kyle Juszczyk type of role. Something that coming out of college, a lot of people said he was a mirror image coming out of college as Kyle Juszczyk physically.
Well, they were saying Kittle.
Was it Kittle? I thought it was Kyle.
Yeah, it was Kittle. Kittle was who they were saying that he could become, right? So, Trimble was a project, really. We knew, and the coaching staff even said that they weren't expecting him to come out and just be amazing right away. It was going to be a multi-year thing. So hopefully this is the year. But the other one I kind of wanted to touch on was backup running back. So we know Miles Sanders, obviously the starting running back, but Chuba Hubbard and Raheem Blackshear. And I think it's going to probably be those 2 guys.
Don't count out Cam Peoples, man.
Well, I'm counting out Cam Peoples right now, but until I see more of him. But it feels like it's probably Chuba's job to lose that backup position.
I would say,
but I think he could easily lose it.
I would say it is a fair fight because with the new coaching staff, they don't have love for Chuba like the other coaching staff has. So I think Blackshear can easily win this battle.
Has anyone gotten Frank Reich's wife's opinion on Chuba?
I don't know. I'll text her and see if she responds.
We need to find that out because we know what Matt Rule's wife thought of Chuba. Um, yeah, I really like Blackshear. I
I,
think he brings a lot of versatility to the running back position. He can do a lot of different things. He's a little on the small side, but we've seen small running backs, even smaller than him, have success in the kind of that limited role. Big success.
and he gives you a little special teams bonus.
Right. Yep.
So,
I think he definitely makes the team.
Yeah,
He
I do
just may
too.
not be the guy right behind Sanders, but that's just one I thought would be interesting to watch as well. So,
No,
all right. Well, you want to take a quick break and then we'll come back and finish it up?
sure thing. And we are back. Now, we finished up training camp battle, so we're going to just touch on some of the big topics going into training camp. First one, you know him, you love him. Your jersey's on order. Bryce Young, what do you expect? And what would you be happy to see? Because let's be honest, we're not going to see Peyton Manning out there. Not week 1 or training camp.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Peyton Manning kind of sucked his first season, so I'm hoping we
Exactly.
don't see that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Bryce Young, like for training camp, I mean, what would make me happy is that he gets through it healthy. I mean, that's number one on the list. Like, honestly, he could throw an interception every day as long as he comes out healthy. I would be happy. What do I expect? He's not going to throw an interception every day. I think he's going to really show some good things. I think the accuracy is going to be evident. And I think the work that he's done with the receivers in this offseason is going to show up early. And I think the offense, typically it's the defense, right, that has kind of the early advantage over the offense in training camp. I think that might be flipped this year. I think that the offense is going to look really good early, and we might be worrying a little bit about the defense because I think Bryce is going to look really good.
I do too, and you got to think too that defense is going to be switching to a new scheme and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with you, especially in shorts and stuff like that with bullets not really flying. I could easily see Bryce Young carving up one-on-one defenses. Like that's I'm hoping I see that I see Bryce Young carving up one-on-ones. Now later in camp, yes, they're going to start mixing up coverages, sending people, obviously they're not going to touch up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think
like you said, in shorts when there's no pass rushers, he should look great. He should, if he doesn't look great, then I'll be a little concerned, but I don't see any way that he won't look really good. Just like you said, throwing to those one-on-ones and the 7-on-7 stuff like that. I think people are going to be really impressed.
Yeah.
And excited.
I think it's already happening in just the mini camps and stuff. And I'm expecting that just to keep going and going and going.
Yeah. Yeah. The mini camps, we just didn't get to see a lot. Didn't get to see a lot of what they were doing. So this will be the first time where you're going to have a lot of people going to camp and taking video and pictures. And
no, sir. No cameras, no videos. That's what they said.
Is that this year? That's the case again this year?
Yeah, when I looked on there, because you have to, if you want to go to training camp, you have to order a ticket. It's free.
Yeah.
But you have to get yourself a ticket. So, fair warning.
That's definitely a change.
Yeah, so make sure you go get that. And there is no photography or anything. And as always, it's Spartanburg, so bring lots of water, fans, coolers, whatever you can to stay cool.
Man, I remember a couple of years ago, like people were live streaming the entire practices.
And that's probably why they
every year.
I think that's why they.
Why? That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to be taking some video when I go, so they can kick me out, I guess. But I'm going to take some video and some pictures and stuff. Either way, the team will be taking a lot of video. We'll be seeing more. We'll be seeing more of this, of what we, want to see and didn't get to see in minicamp. So, anything? Are you worried at all? Any concerns you have about Bryce Young going into camp?
No, No,
Yeah.
I'm on the Bryce Young train right now.
Yeah.
I'm living in the hype train, so I'm
I
good.
agree. I agree. Is there anything that he could do in this camp other than get hurt that would make you be like, maybe we need to see Andy Dalton week 1?
Look completely lost.
Yeah.
I don't think we will, but like especially when preseasons or even in practices, I mean, I remember some throws from Sam Darnold that were just ducks. Like
Hmm.
where are you? Where is that supposed to be going? I mean,
Yeah.
if he starts doing that, then yes. Like if he throws competitive balls to, you know, against J.C. Horn, Dante Jackson, or any of the corners, and they get picked off, I'm not worried because what that is him working with the system. Okay, I
Hmm.
don't have that tight a window as I did as in Alabama that was open. Here it's not. He has to work through that.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. I'm excited about Bryce Young, and I can't believe it took us this long to talk to him in this podcast, or talk about him in this podcast. But we got there, so we did not forget about you, Bryce Young. All right, let's move on to our next kind of topic here. It's the defense. We talked about it a little bit earlier when we were talking about edge rushers, but how different is this defense going to be than what we've seen?
I have no clue. I don't know what to expect because so many pieces still fit that 4-3 that I think. And one thing I've read about Evero is he doesn't force people to fit his scheme. He can kind of
Hmm.
mold a defense into what his players do best. And that's great. That's what you really want in a coach.
Yeah, yeah.
But B, what does that look like on this team? Because there's a mixture. And if he leans in 3-4, is it Brian Burr's just standing up on the edge of a 4-3, basically? Is that it?
That could be it at points, I guess. They have said that even though their base will be 3-4, they're going to be playing a lot of different looks out of that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not always going to be 3-4 all the time out there,
And,
but
and it's a lot of disguise
yeah,
personnel too,
right,
where you don't
right.
know where a player's coming from or dropping out.
Yeah, I think because we've done the whole 4-3 to 3-4 conversions before as Panthers fans, right? We
A couple
saw it
years
the
ago.
last time. The last time it didn't work at all, right?
Mm.
It just didn't work at all. This time it feels different because I have more faith in Evero to adapt to his talent, right? Like you said, he's a guy. He's not going to fit. He's not going to try to fit a round, round peg in a square hole, right? He's going to adjust his scheme to maximize that round peg, right? So I'm really excited about that. And honestly, let's just kind of talk about the next piece here as well. Jeremy Chin, I think, is going to be a huge part of whatever this defense is, and where he plays, I think is going to tell us a lot.
I do too. He played. Did you know he actually lined up more in slot corner than he did any other position last year?
It does not surprise me.
Like
I didn't know that, but that does not surprise
that is such a horrible use of him. I
me.
really want to see him more in a linebacking role. Whether that's inside, outside, I think him close to the line is dangerous for any opposing because he can cover, but he is just such great player for run defense, for pass rushing, just making plays.
Put him where he can make plays. I mean, he's a good safety, but that's not where he's going to be most impactful, in my opinion, or at least not the way that he was that they played at safety last year. Maybe like a safety that is more involved in the backfield, rushing the pass, things like that. I mean,
Like
we've
a
seen that in the
like
past.
a Palomalu type of
Yeah,
safety.
Palomalu, or there's another one that I was
Cam
thinking of that
Chancellor was another good one.
maybe, yeah, yeah. That's a good comparison, actually. I think Jeremy Chin could be really good because Chancellor was all over the place. Like he
Yeah.
just sit there in the, you know, middle third of the field waiting on a ball to come to him. So I do hope that Jeremy Chin is used more like he was in year one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where he was extremely impactful. He was, I think, the runner up
He
rookie of
was.
the year, defensive rookie of the year to Chase Young, I think he should have won it.
Yeah, I think you and I both agreed on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's yeah, those two things, how is the defense going to be, and then where's Jeremy Chin going to be? I think those kind of go together. I'm excited to see how Evero uses Chin. He's talked about Chin. He's talked about Chin being like that chess piece that you can move around and do a lot of things with. So I do think we're going to see more impact from Jeremy Chin this year.
Another big play here on defense, not Jeremy Chin, Derek Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Evero had Aaron Donald before, worked with Aaron Donald in LA, then he went to Denver for 1 year. I could see Derek Brown. He had a great year last year. I could see him kind of bursting onto the scene. Not Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's one of the best.
One of a kind.
Yeah. But I could see him having a really good season this year, especially in preseason and stuff, just because I could see Evero knowing what to do with that physical freak.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, Derek Brown. I just assumed that Derek Brown's just going to be good again, but yeah, he could take another step and, get to the quarterback more. I mean, that's kind of that feels like the next step for him is putting up bigger numbers, right? I'm excited. Yeah, that's a good one. This defense, like as much as we talked about the offense and the questions there, it feels like we have better players on defense than we have on offense. But with the transition and everything, there's maybe more questions on the defense. But it does feel like they have a higher ceiling. They have a much higher ceiling, I think, than the offense this season.
The ceiling, I feel like, could be a top 5 defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and I don't feel like I'm stretching my imagination to say that.
Yeah, it's just the edge rusher. I mean, the edge rusher and corner, really. Those are your two weak points. And if they can figure that out, I think this is going to be a really, really good defense.
I do too. Yeah. Now, moving on, do you have a camp breakout candidate?
Oh, man.
Or candidates?
Yeah. I think in terms of a person that kind of breaks out and solidifies a position, I'm going to go Marquise Haynes.
Okay.
I like Marquise Haynes a lot. I think Marquise Haynes has been criminally underused in his career with the Panthers. And with this new regime coming in, I think they're going to see something in him. I think he may end up being the guy opposite Burns, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, yeah, he's going to be my breakout candidate.
I believe we drafted Marquise Haynes when we did the original transfer over to 3-4 under Ron Rivera as that outside linebacker. So, and then we transitioned back to the 4-3, and then Matt Rule came in. And so that's a very good one. And I meant to bring that up earlier, but yes, I could see him really lighting it up in a 3-4 outside linebacker position, edge rusher.
Yeah. What about you?
You will hear this name coming out of my mouth quite often this year. I feel like this guy is about to make us eat our words for the past 2 seasons.
Oh, no, not Ian Thomas.
Terrace Marshall Jr. is going to look so good in preseason training camp. And it would not shock me if he's starting opposite DJ Chark with Adam Thielen in the slot. Now, I could see Adam Thielen being on the outside too on 2 receiver sets. But I think he takes a step. I think working with Bryce Young at SMU this offseason, I think that's going to help him. I think getting that reps in, getting those mini camps reports already saying that he already looks more dominant than he has in previous training camps, having a system, a coach that can actually coach a wide receiver up and maybe teach him how to get open instead of just letting them run a play and be like, you got to figure it out. That will do. Let's not forget, our wide receiver coach is a great wide receiver coach.
Yeah.
He's another guy in line that may get a coordinator job to a head coach job.
Yeah. I feel like this is best case scenario, right? Like best case scenario is Terrace Marshall Jr. is so good that he pushes Thielen or Shark out of that starting position and it allows us to have one of those guys as our third receiver, right? Yeah. That suddenly to me is a much better receiving core.
And then
than if you've got Shark and Thielen and then, rookie Mingo or something like that, the third guy.
And then you have rookie Mingo, like you just said, being able to sit a year and get coached up because he is raw.
Yeah, and he'll still get playing time. Like he's not going to sit he's not going to red shirt. Like he'll be out there 10, 15 snaps a game most likely, even if he is the fourth receiver. But because they're going to want to get him in there, they spent draft capital on him. But yeah, I mean, this seems like, Terrace Marshall has got the body, he's got the speed, he's got the size, he's got what you want from that outside wide receiver. He just needs to put it together. So if he can put it together, then I suddenly feel way better about this receiving core.
Yeah, I did too.
Agreed. All right, last one here. Let's talk about Matt Corral. Okay. Mm-hmm. Matt Corral, who was a rookie last year, got hurt, missed the whole season. There were, I wouldn't say like extremely high hopes for him, but we had high hopes for him. We thought that at some point he could be the guy here, right? Mm-hmm. Before Bryce Young was drafted. Did not look great before he got hurt.
I really like Matt Corral. He did not look good in the preseason.
Did not look great. We've seen quarterbacks look bad before in preseason and turn out to be pretty good. But Matt Corral looked pretty rough. What do you think is going to happen with Matt Corral? Is he going to be good enough to get traded? Because I feel like that's best case scenario for him.
For him, yes. For the Panthers, no. I think you want him to be good enough. And I think he still has the ability. That quick release, his accuracy, I think that fits well with what this team is going to do with Bryce Young. And I think if he could show well enough, I don't know why you wouldn't keep him on this roster. Andy Dalton's not going to be here long term. He signed, a 2-year contract?
Yeah, I mean, I think Andy Dalton will be here for a couple of seasons. I mean, I don't know. Andy Dalton is 35?
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see him being here for 4 or 5 seasons.
So
he seems like that kind of guy.
I would not be willing to bet that, especially if you have a guy on a rookie contract that you feel comfortable being Now, this is best case scenario of him looking good this preseason. And again, I think he has that potential. That quick release, good accuracy. He's mobile in the pocket, being able to run and stuff like that. I would want him more as a backup. I would be willing to keep 3 quarterbacks and just trot that way until Andy Dalton's gone, or we just run with that, or trade him later on. You're not going to get the 2 third-round picks that you drafted him with. So you're looking at a 4th or 5th at best. So you might as well keep him right now, in my opinion. You could probably get a 4th or 5th if he continues to look good.
What is the most likely scenario from Matt Corral? Is that he's good enough to make the roster, he's bad enough to get cut, or he's traded? What's the most likely outcome for Matt Corral?
He gets cut.
I think so.
If I'm betting on one of those 3, I think he gets cut.
I think I agree with you in that keeping 3 quarterbacks, especially we saw what happened with San Francisco last year. We saw what happened with the Panthers last year.
Yeah.
Just playing musical chairs at quarterbacks. Having 3 makes sense. And I think they did something to the roster this year where you can keep a third and it doesn't negatively affect you like it used to.
I believe I did hear that too.
Yeah. So I think it makes sense to keep 3. And we've got the other kid on the roster as well. I don't remember his name. Jacob Eason.
Oh yeah.
So he's also out here and he's got some experience with Frank Reich. So can't really, can't just discount him, but I don't think that he's going to be getting nearly the snaps that these other guys are getting. I think we're going to see a lot of Matt Corral in preseason.
They said he was going to get the bulk of the snaps because
he should.
Because you got to see what he has.
Yeah. And what if he looks amazing? What if he comes out and he throws, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions in the preseason, and just looks incredible.
Then you hold on to him.
He's still third though, right? Like,
Yep.
I don't think he passes Dalton on the depth chart this season.
No, but
Do you not like Dalton? Do you not want Dalton as the backup?
I like Dalton as the backup, but long term, I don't see Dalton long term here. I guess that's my I love the move. Let me be clear on that. I love the move of bringing Andy Dalton in here this season
Mm-hmm.
for a backup of Bryce Young, and even that 2-year deal. I think that's a great move. But Matt Corral, I mean, I would love for him to take the step up, but let's be honest, he's still a 3rd-round pick who's looked awful last year in his short playing time. So
Yeah. I like the similarities of Cam with Derek Anderson and Bryce with Andy Dalton. I like that older veteran quarterback who's had success in the league, but never, took off, was never a great quarterback. Andy Dalton had more success than Derek Anderson, obviously.
yeah.
But I don't know. It just feels right to have Andy Dalton here for a few seasons to
mentor,
back up and mentor Bryce. I don't know. There's just a good symmetry there between the last 2 number 1 quarterbacks. I don't know. It feels good to me. So I'm hoping that Andy's here for a few more seasons. But if Matt Corral's good enough, hey, win the job. You win the job, then that'd be amazing.
I don't think he's going to beat out Andy Dalton for the number 2 spot.
Not this season, but
next season you can hope for.
Yeah, if he's good enough, then you cut Dalton, you save some money, and you put Corral back there.
And then when Michael Thomas gets head coaching job, you can bump Josh McCown up there. You can slide Andy Dalton into the QB coach.
Perfect. There you go. There you go. All right, a couple of predictions here before we go. Who is your breakout player from camp? Now, this is going to be different than our, no, we already did the camp. Sorry.
I was going to say Terrace Marshall Jr. I've already called it, but other than that, I'm going to go Rajon Wright. That's my guy. That's my undrafted horse I'm riding this year. He has the physical tools. I think he could be good. I think he could be a good, solid player. Now, will he become a great corner? Probably not.
Yeah.
Not as an undrafted guy, but I think he could offer some depth that this team desperately needs.
Okay. Outside of Marquise Haynes, I'm going to go Blackshear. I think Blackshear is going to be really he's going to be one of those guys just making plays all over the field in the preseason and the training camp. So I'm going to say Blackshear. Most surprising. Now, this could be good or bad. Make a prediction of the most surprising player performance in training camp.
I'm going to let you go first because I'm still thinking.
Okay. All right. I predict that Tommy Tremble actually has a good training camp and looks like he has worked on his craft, and he ends up becoming the backup tight end and has a decent season.
I like that. So I really do, and I kind of feel like that's actually going to happen.
I would like to see it happen. Again, you and I have not been out on Tremble. I couldn't be happier that we brought in a real tight end in Hayden Hurst to play. But if Tommy Tremble can become what they drafted him, they thought that he could be, that would be amazing. So I'm going to go Tommy Tremble, my good surprise of camp.
My most surprising, I don't want to call it surprising, but I think we're going to hear a lot of DJ Johnson talk this offseason or this training camp. Maybe that he is a raw physical specimen, that he needs to put it together could be something special. But right now, he's like a bull in a china shop. He can't do it all, but the things he can do, he does well because of his freakish nature.
I like that. He's kind of been an afterthought to me from this draft. But I would be really excited to see that. And I wonder if he dropped in the draft some because of, his antics on the field after that game where he punched that kid in the head. But I don't know. Who knows? They didn't really talk about that too much during the draft. So that would be good. That would be a good surprise. All right. Last one here. Do you expect any trades to occur? I guess we'll just say between now and the last preseason game.
Yes.
To or from.
I think we're gonna either bring in a corner or an edge rusher, but we'll see. I could be wrong.
Via trade. Trade. Okay.
Yeah, I do think via trade. Because I really see corner, to be honest with you. I could see a savvy vet that's like 30-something that may be getting pushed out by a younger corner, like has starting ability, but they're like, this second-year player is about to start. We're paying him $6-7 million.
Yeah, I could see it. I'd say yes. I think there will be a trade. I think Fitter will trade. Actually, I think there are going to be two trades. I think they're going to trade one person out. They're going to trade one person in. I don't know who the out is going to be. I'm not going to make that prediction, but there'll be two trades. We've seen Fitter be pretty active during this time of year, whether it's trading out someone like Denzel Perryman or trading for, Chenault, I think, was around this time last year. So, I think that could happen. And was Chenault around this time last year? Was he before the season?
He was before the season, but he was like, I don't want to say before the season, but like right before the season.
Yeah. So I think, before the season, I believe that we will bring in someone. I agree. It's going to be one of those two positions.
Oh, Dan Arnold too. Dan Arnold trade for CJ Henderson.
Yeah. I don't remember when that was.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't remember when that happened. If that happened, I think that might have happened during the season, like early in the season, but I don't remember. Either way, Fitter is active in the trades, so I would not be surprised. I don't think they're going to give up any picks or anything. So that's kind of why I think that if they bring someone in, they're going to trade someone out just to recoup some of that. But so all right. Hey, training camp is here in a week from today. I don't know when you'll be listening to this, but it's very soon. So we're extremely excited. I'll be heading out on the 31st and the 1st to check it out. I don't know when Jerry is going to go out. I'm sure he'll try to make it out to at least one at some point. But if we see out there, we see out there. I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm very excited to watch this training camp. It's like a new team, basically.
It feels very much like a new team. Yeah. And for the first preseason game, I just don't want to be bothered the whole game. I just want to sit in front of the TV with a beer and some chips and just watch the game. So, all right, Jerry, I think that's going to do it.
All right. We want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at Meowmix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on the show. Like I drink Panther milk. I love that name, by the way. I really do.
Yes, we love all Panther milk drinkers here.
And just to let you know, every time I say it, I think of a man trying to milk a panther, and it makes me laugh in my head. Can you milk a panther, Greg?
Pretty much milk anything with nipples. All right. Well, we will be back maybe next week. We'll see. We're definitely going to be upping the cadence of shows now that training camp is here. So we'll be back soon. And until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.